Hi guys, my name is Shelly. Today I learned how to do an investigation. So I'm going to show you how to do an investigation, and I'm going to have my friend help me out and see if you can guess what I am. Hi guys, I'm Stacy. I'm going to help Shelly out with her investigation and show you the steps that she took. She took 9 steps to do this investigation for y'all, and then you're going to see if you can guess what she is at the end. So the first step that you do an investigation is actually investigate. You ask a question of yourself. So the question that we're going to ask today is, who am I? The second is you make a model. You make an example of what you think it looks like or what it does look like as long as you're observing. So this is going to be the example that Shelly made of herself. So this is the example she drew of herself. Okay. And then third, we define operationally. So you look and describe what you're looking at, what you're observing. So as long as we were observing when Shelly was observing herself, she found out that she's on the ocean, that a mollusk used to live in her, and that she's a bivalve. Hopefully you're starting to put it together. If not, we still got a lot more steps. Fourth, you infer. So this is, you make multiple observations of a certain object in maybe many different circumstances, and then you infer or you observe what you think could happen, what it could look like if it's not full. Shelly's not full. She has a crack in her. So this is what she did when she inferred what she thinks she would look like. If she was a hole, gotta cover it because it says her name up at the top. So we have right here, we have non-full Shelly right here. She's missing a little chip up here. Alright, it's kind of hard to see. Okay, there we go. And then we got full Shelly over here, and she's not missing anything. She is full over here. So that's what you would do when you are inferring. You would infer, or you would observe or guess almost what you think the object would look like if it wasn't chipped, if it was in a different circumstance, and so on. So the fifth step is you predict. So you guess what you think will happen if you did an experiment. So the experiment we did with Shelly was, do we think she would sink or do we think she would float? Well, we found out that she would definitely sink. We thought she would float because she's really light, she's very small, but she did sink and she never came back to the top. Of course, we got her out. She's perfectly fine. Okay, and then 6, you do a measurement. You do a linear measurement, a mass measurement, and a volume measurement. So how you do all of these things is you just get a tape measure and you go ahead and measure. But first you want to predict for your linear measure what you think and how big you think the object's going to be. So when Shelly guessed how big she thought she was, she said 6 centimeters. And then for the mass, For the mass, you go ahead and you weigh it out. So you get a scale and you put Shelly on one side or whatever your object is, and then you'd put weights on the other to measure how big the object is and how much it weighs almost. So then she thought she would be 2 grams. And then for volume, what you do is you do it by displacement. So what this means is that you take a cup full of water, measuring cup, something you can measure, you put water in it, and then you drop your object inside of it, and you see how high the water went compared to what it was when the object was not in the water. And then that's what you judge. You judge the displacement of the object. Shelly thought she was going to be 5 milliliters. Some of these she was pretty off. So then when we finally did the actual test and we measured her with the measuring tape, she was only 3 centimeters long, in length for linear. In mass, she was only 1 gram. And then volume, she was only 1 milliliter. So next what we're going to do is the 7th step. We're going to classify what we think Shelly is. Now earlier when I was talking about the 2nd step, we said that she was small, you would find her in the ocean, and that she was a bivalve. Now by knowing that she's a bivalve, we know that there are some other types of these objects by different names. We have a univalve, we have a toothed shell, we have octopus and squids. So if we wanted to take her into 2 separate categories and we wanted to classify her, she would be classified as a bivalve. She'd be classified as this because she has a bottom and she has a matching top. So she is a bivalve because she has 2 parts to her that would come together to make one whole object. So that's her classification. Now the next step, your 8th step, is communication. You're going to tell what you observe, what it looks like, when you touch it, what it feels like, what it smells like, what you taste, what you hear from this object. So, but this is mainly by, this was by doing, so you're going to look at it, and Shelly is purple. She looks bumpy. When you hear her drop, she makes just a small high-pitched sound. Like I said, she's pretty small. And then she didn't taste herself, so we're not quite sure on that one. Okay, and then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to observe. This is your 9th step. So this is what you do with your skin, your touch, your nose, your ears, your eyes. So it's almost like your communication, but it's a little different because you're actually touching it with your skin, so you know that she's bumpy, and you would actually touch it with your tongue. But again, she didn't taste herself. Then we smelled her. She still smelled like the ocean. And then you have your ears, and your eyes. So with your eyes, she noticed that she's purple, that she's chipped, and then with her ears, again, she makes just a little high-pitched sound. So these are going to be all the steps that you're going to take. Now, by all of these guesses, can you guess what Shelly is? Shelly is Shelly the seashell. Shelly's a seashell. She's bumpy, she's found by the ocean, and a bivalve, again, is a type of seashell where it has a top and a bottom, and it comes together, and a mollusk does live inside of her. And then once the mollusk leaves, she actually dies. So these are the fun 9 steps that you can take to make science fun and to be able to investigate, to figure out what an object is if you see one and you're not quite sure.